Why is it that when someone comes close enough to touch our deepest scars, our first reaction is not an embrace, but a cruel, sudden push? We crave connection more than anything. Yet we often design a script to destroy it the very moment it begins to feel frighteningly real and vulnerable. This is not an act of malice. It is a blueprint of self-destruction, hardwired into our nervous system to protect us from a much larger ghost. We are haunted by the fear of abandonment, a shadow that grows taller the more we care about someone who has the power to leave us. When the tension of intimacy becomes unbearable, we break the bond ourselves, preferring the certainty of a self-inflicted wound over the uncertainty of being hurt. We sabotage the present to avoid a future rejection we are already convinced is inevitable, acting as both the architect and the victim of our loneliness. By pushing them away first, we regain a tragic sense of control, choosing a lonely safety over the beautiful danger of truly being seen by another. This paradox of intimacy is the core of our struggle. The closer we get to love, the more we feel the need to defend our hearts. To understand why we destroy what we love, we must look back at the origins of our hearts and the blueprints drawn long before today. Attachment theory teaches us that how we love today is often a mirror of how we were loved yesterday, in the house of our childhood. Our early bonds create the maps we use to navigate intimacy, and for many, those maps are marked with warnings and dangerous, uncharted territories. Those with anxious attachment styles often find intimacy to be a volatile sea, where the fear of losing closeness leads to overwhelming waves of panic. For the avoidant, intimacy feels like an invasion, a threat to the self-reliance they built as a fortress to survive when their needs went unmet. When love is finally offered, it can feel like a foreign language. We want to absorb it, yet our inner walls make us completely impermeable. The brain equates deep vulnerability with the destruction of the ego, triggering an alarm that tells us to stay dry, even if we are dying. We repeat these patterns in a loop, walking down the same corridors of the past, hoping for a different exit, but always finding the same wall. We build walls not to keep others out, but to keep our own fears locked in, believing that silence is the only way to stay safe. The past is a persistent architect, designing our current relationships to survive a war that ended years ago. Yet we still wear the armor. Murray Bowen's family systems theory suggests that we are like atoms, constantly trying to balance the need for connection with the need for individual space. When we lack a solid sense of self, being close to another person feels like being swallowed whole, losing our identity in their emotional gravity. To avoid being dissolved by the other, we create a safe distance, a buffer zone where we can breathe without feeling the weight of their expectations. Pushing a loved one away is our desperate attempt to reestablish our boundaries, to prove to ourselves that we are still separate and autonomous. It is much like a self-destructive habit, a short-term relief for long-term anxiety. We destroy the peace to gain a false sense of power. The logic is simple but tragic. If I am the one who leaves, then I can never be the one who is left behind. We project our internal chaos onto our partners, blaming them for the suffocating feeling that actually comes from our own lack of inner stability. This distancing is a survival mechanism, a way to keep our hearts beating in a rhythm we can control, even if that rhythm is lonely. We are writing a story where isolation is the hero, unaware that the climax of such a tale is always a quiet, empty room. But there is also a biological reason for this behavior. Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory explains that our bodies are constantly scanning for safety. When emotional intimacy feels too intense, our nervous system misinterprets it as a life-threatening danger. shifting us from connect to defend. Our brain cannot distinguish between a predator in the wild and a vulnerable conversation. Both trigger the ancient fight or flight response in our blood. When the threat of love becomes too great, we enter a state of active defense. We attack with words or vanish into a cold silence. Our bodies are literally preparing for a battle, shutting down our social engagement systems to prioritize the survival of the solitary self. In this state, we lose the ability to hear compassion. All we see is a target to hit or a door to escape through. The harsh words we say are not what we truly feel. They are weapons drawn by a nervous system that feels trapped and overwhelmed. The flight is the wall of silence. We shut down our sensors to stop the overwhelming flow of feelings, leaving our partner stranded in the cold. This biological hijacking is why we often don't recognize ourselves in the middle of a conflict. We have become a creature of pure survival. To love is to risk the shutdown. But to understand the shutdown is the first step toward reclaiming our ability to stay present. Once the adrenaline fades, we are left with the wreckage of our own making, wondering why we burned the bridge we were trying to cross. We fall for the grand illusion that solitude equals safety. We tell ourselves that if we love no one, then no one can hurt us. This is a cruel trade. We trade the sharp, unpredictable pain of vulnerability for the dull, familiar ache of chronic loneliness and isolation. We become the architects of fortresses with no entrances, only to realize too late that we are also the only prisoners kept inside. In our quest for protection, we build a world of islands. Each of us is safe, but we are all incredibly and profoundly alone. The safety we feel is a pseudo-safety, a hollow victory over a fear that has already won by stealing our capacity for joy. We reach out through the glass of our defenses, wondering why we can't feel the touch of the people who are trying to love us. True safety is not the absence of hurt, but the presence of connection. By pushing others away, we lose the only thing that can heal. The armor we thought would protect us has become a cage that prevents our hearts from growing, keeping us frozen in a state of fear. We believe that by being the first to leave, we save our dignity. In reality, we only save ourselves from the chance of being loved. We lock the door from the inside and throw away the key, then sit in the dark and wonder why nobody is coming to save us. To break this blueprint, we must first recognize the cracks in our own walls. We must acknowledge that the fear is just a ghost. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the highest form of courage. It is the decision to keep the door open despite the risk. Healing begins when we choose to stay in the room, even when every nerve in our body is screaming for us to run away. Pushing someone away is a primal instinct, but holding them close is a conscious, beautiful choice that defines who we really are. It takes strength to lower our weapons. It takes heart to say, I am afraid of losing you, but I will not leave you. Love is not found in the absence of fear, but in the decision to connect despite it. We must learn to trust the bridge. We are not our past, and we are not our blueprints. We are the architects who can choose to build windows instead of walls. There is a profound freedom in allowing ourselves to be seen, even with all our jagged edges and poorly healed wounds. The real safety lies in knowing that we are strong enough to break, strong enough to heal, and strong enough to try again. Let down your guard. The world is much larger than the fortress you built, and the love you fear is the home you need. The blueprint of self-destruction can be rewritten, One honest word at a time, one soft touch at a time, starting today. Because in the end, we are not meant to be alone. We are meant to be together, brave and beautifully, hopelessly human.